has turned a blind eye to Egypt's leadership torturing its people. And they're the people we elect. Maybe, you know, actually no, us here too. let's be frank. There's only two parties that you can really, you know, that you can really vote for. So, you know, when the U.S. wanted terrorism suspects tortured over the past few years, among the places they sent them was Egypt. And the person who was in charge of that, the guy who signed the receipt when the UPS guy showed up, was Omar Suleiman, who was appointed, and it looks like he won't be the vice president. So I agree. I agree with Jay that the media is a problem, but I really just want to spread the blame around a little more widely. I'll leave you with three interesting factoids about the conservative media. Of the 4 presidential elections since Fox News was launched in October 1996, the Democrat has won the popular vote in 3 of them. And in a recent poll, 80% of Americans say they support the pro-democracy protesters in Egypt. But in the past 9 presidential elections, Americans have put someone in office who supported the dictatorship. And number 3, Glenn Beck got his big break at CNN. So they don't hate us for our freedom. They hate us because we vote against their freedom over and over again, then lecture them about freedom. That's not really Rush Limbaugh's fault. So.
Wow. All right. I'm sure there's a lot we want to talk about and ask.
Look at these guys. I got chairs and they want to go for donuts.
Yeah. They want to be part of the act.
Donuts now? Comfortable bar table.
So now is the time where we get to... Bobby used to be a theater director, in case you didn't know. That was her first job.
Just like on TV.
All right. Actually, I think... maybe they want to arm wrestle here. So, why...
Is that water?
So, Jay, is there any last comments, or should we open up the floor?
No, I think Anashay was exactly correct in his analysis of the American media as a whole. CNN does not have the resources it used to have. We at the AJC don't have the resources we used to have. The resources that we do have, CNN and as a newspaper, the willingness to, I wouldn't say waste those resources, but to invest those resources in ways that aren't going to make money, that's gone. We have reduced resources, and those resources that we do have are being focused on the things that generate revenue. That's what CNN has done. That's what we're doing. It's really not a moral question. It's a question of economic survival. If it was a moral question, it'd be a lot easier to address, so to speak, to complain about. The fact is, the media world is changing so quickly, and revenues are disappearing that nobody knows how to replace, and you have to pay salaries. It's going to be a major challenge to democracy, because the lifeblood of democracy is a flow of information, and it is not what it needs to be.
Is there anyone who has a question or a comment? Okay, why don't you just stand up and speak out?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Bookman, I thought you made a really good point about what the real issue is with the gulf between the right and the left, and the fears that that I think mostly working class Americans especially have about the way life is changing, the way things are changing? And do you see, since we can't talk rationally, according to you, to bridge that divide, how do we bridge it? How do we address these fears in a way that can allow us to have a common dialogue?
I think that's well put. With this exception, I do think we have to address it rationally. I don't know of another way. I think though it's we have to understand that we're, again, to use the global warming example, we're not really debating global warming. We're debating their sense that their economic future is disappearing, and that their children's economic future is disappearing. That's what we're really talking about when we debate global warming. That's why when the energy companies sell this nonsense, those people are willing to buy it. So that's what you have to address. If you think you're going to convince them by talking again about the atmospheric concentrations of CO2, you're not. You have to address what they're really concerned about. And what they're really concerned about is their job, their children's job. And are they going to have is Medicare going to be there when they retire? That's what they're worried about. So I think that would be my advice, is to figure out what their real issue is and go and attack that.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
I understand that by 2040, people of color will be a minority in our country, and whites will be a minority. And I'm wondering how that ties into the fear that we are losing our privilege, losing our rights, and
I think that's
and it ties into immigration and everything because of the fear that we
I think that's very real. I think, when you say that, the implication is that you're calling all these people racist, and I don't think it goes there. It does for a small subset, but I don't think for the vast majority that's what it is. It's just it's not the America that they grew up in. It's not the world that they know how to get around in, and they don't know how it works. But you're right. The number I saw coming out of the census is that today, in the third grade, white third graders are a minority nationwide. So that cohort, as it comes through, it's going to literally change the face of America. And people, that contributes to the sense, an unconscious sense. Things are just, I'm not cool with all this. I don't know what's going on. So I think it's important to make that distinction, that it's not racism, because if you start talking about as if it's racism, the conversation shuts down. You have to some degree, accept and deal with that unease, and then you can have that conversation.